case you missed it, it's the top 5 sports talkers of the day. Now, it's time for Dan Barreiro's Top 5 at 5. Brought to you by Gutter Helmet of Minnesota. Never clean your gutters again. Learn more at gutterhelmetmn.com.
Well, there's quite a battle ensuing via X. I don't know if you noticed it or detected it. Brett Blakemore was in for Guardsy today. As usual, before the show, I laid out the guest lineup, and often if it doesn't include a hockey guest, Fallness then expresses some snark or frustration. In this case, it was, the old, rub your chin, like, doesn't seem to be any sort of hockey presence. To which another tweeter wrote, Wild don't play for 2 weeks, take a rest. Fallness's reply, hockey in the state of hockey, trademark, does not rest. Oh, so dramatic. Oh, does not rest. So is that the best way to lead into what you say might be an apology to Fallness for the top 5 at 5 today?
I don't know. I mean, I could do this.
Time now for the obligatory Kevin Fallness Minnesota Wild mention.
Hey, the Wild are scattered across North America and Italy, and the opening ceremony was today, and there were probably some Wild players that were there. I mean, that's the best I got. There's nothing else to talk about with the Wild right now.
It's not even worth going into any more trade rumors. We've done that a bunch. We will do that a bunch on the other end, the whole bit. But there's, by the way, where is Kirill hanging out during this break? Do we
don't know.
Is that undisclosed location?
Probably.
Yeah, I'm guessing.
Maybe Florida. That's an educated guess.
I don't know. That's not a bad thought. Yeah, something tropical, perhaps.
So I love the Wild as much as anyone in the building. But they're not playing right now. And when the U.S. starts, they'll lead the top 5 at 5.
We don't play for a while, correct?
It's not until the 12th, I believe.
Is that right?
There's 6 days.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's for USA. The Wild,
yes,
further beyond that. There is a game tonight. You'll hear on the Fan pregame 6:45 tip-off at 7. It is your Minnesota Timberwolves. They take on the Pelicans. For my money, one of the worst names in sports. Just a terrible name.
Yeah, it's not a great name.
No Ayu Dosunmu. Still think I'm saying that correctly. I'm going to get that wrong at some point.
That's how I've been told it's pronounced. I apparently mispronounced it yesterday because the way you're pronouncing it is the way I'm told it's supposed to be pronounced, although I'd like to get the final word eventually more officially, but I think you're safe.
Yeah, so physicals still to take place, to trade to be official. So they did have their introductory press conference, but other stuff and bureaucracy, as Johnny Athletic called it, holding it up. So no Ayu Dosunmu tonight. I'm just going to say it fast and power through it.
That's
before
fine.
anyone can understand that I mispronounced it. Randall, he's questionable with left thumb soreness. But that's it for your injury report. So the Wolves and Pelicans tonight.
Yeah, I mean, that's disappointing, I'm sure, for the home fans who say, God, it'd be a great opportunity to see the new guy. The other, Mike Conley is coming back. But again, I don't want to get too deep into the weeds and the arcane matter of salary cap rules, payroll rules, etc. But as I understand it, the longer the Wolves delay on making that official, the more flexibility they will have getting a player making had been making decent money who gets bought out. And there are some names out there that would absolutely help the depth of this club. Now, whether they're going to end up with any of them, I don't know. But part of the advantage of doing the deals the way they've done them, including the first one with Mike Conley to the Bulls, is it has given them a lot more flexibility to add a player who is making more significant money than just your average rube. So there is, I think, been a method to the madness of this approach, and it's why there's nothing, I think, yet official on Conley. But there's every indication that he's ready to come back. He is willing to come back. The assumption is that it's going to be an even more reduced role because you got to play the new guy. What have we said all year? You never replace Nikhil. That's the gap, the absence. I think it's kind of the gaping hole in the club compared to a year ago. We know why they didn't. They couldn't re-sign everybody. But what they finally done is given themselves a reasonable facsimile of what Nickeil Alexander-Walker represents. And that's important for this team. It's not as big a move. Obviously, it's not as massive a move as if you get Giannis, but to me, it was just a mandatory move if you're going to give yourself a chance, because this kid can score. He's a good two-way player. He can handle the ball, even though he's not viewed as a guy who's a natural point guard, but he can handle it enough to be in that position from time to time. So all of the timing here, if it seems odd, what are we waiting for on Conley? I think it's all related to give them greater flexibility. If there's an opportunity and they're interested in bringing one other relative name player in that might end up being available to them, and then suddenly you'd add not one piece, but two pieces to your depth, and they'd be a lot less naked in that regard than they were before we hit the trade deadline.
I'm told in an apology that I should mention Beyond the Pond starts at 10 tomorrow. So there you go.
Why are they even bothering?
I know. The Olympics, I guess. The other story, one of us, Lindsey Vonn. I find this fascinating. So she tears her ACL in a crash.
Correct.
Or ruptured it. I don't know if there's a difference between ruptured and tear, or if it's just semantic.
Rupture sounds more dramatic.
It does.
Yeah.
So Twitter doctor, so she's racing still. She said immediately after that, my Olympic dream isn't dead. And we're like, okay, cute story. Well, she's back she's racing.
Yes.
She means it. So then, you know how every time there's a football injury, there's a Twitter doctor that immediately shows the slow-mo replay and says, I think that's a grade 2 ankle sprain.
Yes.
Well, someone was at it again. What was the state of her ACL before the crash? What she is doing now would not be nearly as surprising as an elite athlete. With Lindsay responding, LOL, thanks, Doc.
Yeah,
my ACL was fully functioning until last Friday. Just because it seems impossible to you doesn't mean it's not possible. And yes, my ACL is 100% ruptured, not 80, not 50. It's 100% gone. I'm sorry. Our ACL tears, is big ACL lying to us this whole time? I mean, that's the most...
Now you're wondering if some players were milking it and could, like football players could have... Well, here's the thing. She had a practice run today, I believe.
Yeah.
And it was considered good enough that she's going forward with this thing. I'm fascinated by this story. I'm going to follow it very closely. I mean, we always follow Lindsey Vonn in this town for obvious reasons. She's world class. Has a tremendous resume, local angle, even though I think she really learned her skiing in Wisconsin more than she did here, but I don't want to get into that argument again. But the fact is, she's going for it, and as you say, she's saying 100% gone. There's still a part of me that says, well, it has to affect not necessarily whether you can get down the hill safely, but whether you can get down the hill as effectively as you're accustomed to. But that's what we're going to find out. And believe me, the ratings for that, whenever that is, are going to be absolutely massive.
If I had to power rank sports, that would be hard to do with a bum knee. Skiing, competitive skiing, has got to be up there.
There's no doubt.
I don't know how that's a thing. Women's hockey is fully underway. The U.S. leads their group. They're up 3 points. Switzerland has 2 points. Canada and Finland, they haven't played. We talked about that yesterday with the neurovirus terrorism going on with the Finnish group. But I just realized that Canadians and the U.S. are in the same group, so we'll see them at least once.
Okay.
If not twice. Sweden leads the other group with 3 points. And then there was some figure skating that went on today as well as the opening ceremonies, which again is still weird. I understand you got to fit everything in.
Yes.
But figure skating today. There was some curling earlier today as well. But that's where we're at. Women's hockey off to a flying start.
A couple people are saying that Kirill is doing high altitude training in Colorado. Do you know why, Blakemore? Because it's the Cup. Because it's the damn Cup, man.
Yeah.
Think about it. He's going to put himself in the best physical condition in his career because it's the Cup. And he finally actually wants to go after one. Has maybe a chance to go after one. Although, again, I still want to see us win our first series before we get too haughty.
When we get to that second round, you got to go to Denver game 1.
There you go.
He'll be ready.
Can we catch Denver, by the way? Guardsy made it sound to me like we really have a chip, chair, and a chance to catch the Lanch. We don't, do we?
I mean, if the Lanch...
What is it, 9 points?
Something like that.
What's the gap?
And don't they have the season?
I think they got 9 games in hand on us, too, though.
I mean, if they are a human team that occasionally doesn't show up to games or doesn't have their best effort, then we could catch them. But they haven't shown much signs of being that. I got time for one more.
Do it.
I don't know how much you've been following this. Gavin McKenna. Are you aware of this situation?
No.
So Gavin McKenna, he's a very sought-after college hockey player. Made waves, basically got into essentially a bar fight, a bar punch, so to speak.
Yes, I remember this now.
Well, all the charges are getting dropped.
Mm-hmm.
The story that I read was someone approached him and his either teammates or friends at a bar, said salacious things about family members, his mother particularly, and Kevin socked him, broke his jaw, and knocked him out on the spot. That he was getting charged. He was facing, there was articles that were saying, 20 years in prison. Yeah. They're all getting dropped. So
do we know why?
Let's see. The district attorney office said that while the aggravated assault charge has been dropped, which could have earned McKenna a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison, prosecution will go forward with a misdemeanor simple assault and a preliminary hearing for Wednesday. So basically, they've knocked it down to say, let's not be ridiculous. That's not a 20-year felony to, punch someone in the mouth at a drunken bar thing. So,
all right, we've got a lot of texts that cover a lot of different stories that I definitely want to explore before we are joined by Lavelle at the bottom of the hour. Stay tuned.
Bonus Box is back on KFAN. We have 9 chances for you to win $1,000 every weekday. It's every hour from 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. To enter keywords to learn more, head to KFAN.com. The keyword this hour, by the way, is bank. Keyword bank. KFAN.com. Keyword bank.
To do some on-air producing to perhaps, add a guest to the list between now and 6:30. We'll see how it goes. Don't forget, Lavelle is scheduled, at least for now, by 5:30. We're only 5 points down to the Lanch right now? I thought it was like 8 or 9. Is it 5? Although I think they've got some games in hand on us, but that's a little tighter than it was.
Yeah, I think they've got a couple.
Interesting. Only 5 points. By interest, would there be any interest in Chris Middleton if he's bought out? That's an example of the kind of player we are talking about, where the Wolves now would have, because of the sequencing that they went with regarding all these salary cap related moves, not saying they're going to get them, not even saying there's been any discussion, but it gives them the flexibility to be in that market. It's a good example of exactly what we were talking about. Former Iowa wrestler won an NCAA championship with 2 broken ACLs. Yeah, but that's wrestling. You barely move in wrestling, right? Compared to, no, I'm being facetious, obviously. I wouldn't recommend doing anything with 2 ACL issues. Can we please get a dedicated Wild station like the Wolves have? Let me explain why we don't. It's pretty simple, actually. We don't have a dedicated Wild station because whenever the Wild play, they are on 100.3 KFAN, other than if there's a Vikings conflict. Besides that, they're Kings. That's the reason. The Wolves have a channel because, at least when the deal was originally negotiated, there were going to be a lot of games that were not going to be on the actual 100.3 frequency. Even though, as it turns out, I think there have been more than we expected, in part because I think of the team's success and they've made some adjustments, etc. But that's the reason. The Wild take precedence over every other team except for the Vikings in this town to be on the frequency. Now, I get the point. You could say, well, still, I wouldn't be able to have a dedicated Wild channel, too. But I think that's the reason. Or do we? And I don't even know it.
I mean, do we want to hear that much Kevin Fallness?
It's a great point.
Because surely he would host it.
That's a really good point. Well, would he? That's the thing. I don't think does he want to work that hard?
I love Kevin. I just love giving him a hard time.
Me too. Interesting. Well, he asks for it. He almost demands that we give him a hard time. Alan and Afton. Dan, question, what's your opinion on the way the Olympics are covered? I despise the way NBC shoves narrow storylines and narratives down our throat and focus/limit what they show us to those narratives. This is a set of world sporting events. Shouldn't we be able to consume the sports and not the narrative? It's a fascinating question. Now, I haven't watched enough of the coverage yet to get a feel for that, because I think you've got the stuff that's on NBC, but you also got a bunch of stuff on Peacock, right, where I think you can move around depending on what your interests are. So I'm of two minds. I think part of the reason, frankly, themes are established is a belief that for a lot of people, they need to be led, that the casual Winter Olympics fan sort of needs to be led a little bit and perhaps even educated. And so they say, okay, going in, we think these are some really great stories, so we're going to build on those stories. I don't think that's the worst thing. Now, if you're hardcore, you'd like to probably have the option to say, I know more. I want to go everywhere. I want to dabble. I want to consider other stories that you guys aren't talking about because they weren't on your list before the Winter Olympics came. At its best, my assumption is when you have streaming available and you have a lot of different things being covered, I thought for those people, you're given the opportunity to pretty much watch whatever is going on in any sport at any given moment. But I have not watched it yet long enough, given that really, we've had some events so far, but we're not quite yet what we would classify as full bore, one could say. What was the other text I was looking for? This seems uncalled for. This is a callback to Ben Gessling confirming that he'd written a book about the Wolves for fourth graders way back when. And 763 guy wrote, Meat Sauce will love Ben's book. That's not very kind. Aren't we past the meat sauce, being the doofus theme? Hasn't that been exhausted by now? No?
They're still running with it.
It's kind of a myth, isn't it? I always thought it was. Kwesi couldn't draft, should have honed his craft. KOC has the last laugh. Wolves in 5. Not bad. It's not a bad one. I had a couple more. I gotta start starring. We had a bunch of good ones yesterday, and I didn't star them, which was kind of a big mistake on that. Where was I? See if I can find another one. Oh, here's one. Elvis Presto, Janet's burlesque show. Who made the pesto? Wolves in 5. That's a callback to our Super Bowl halftime show discussion earlier, where I, in doing a little digging earlier today, learned or was reminded of something I'd forgotten, that among the more forgettable Super Bowl halftime shows was one, what did we say? Did I say it was 13? I'll double check the year. The headliner was somebody named Elvis Presto. And so it was an Elvis impersonator, so to speak, who has another name. I mentioned it earlier. I don't even remember what it is now. So when we complain about halftime shows and what's come the last few years, it still seems to me like gold medal material to mix our sports metaphors to the old days, where it was marching bands and it was Elvis Presto. Somebody got in a room and actually thought, hey, let's have an Elvis impersonator do a couple parts of a couple of Elvis songs and have that individual sort of be the headliner for the halftime event.
Well, on top of that, they had to pitch, if that's not enough for you, he'll do magic tricks as well. He'll do the biggest magic card trick. Did it work, by the way? I don't know.
That's the part I don't know. I've not heard whether it worked. Let me find the year. This was in the period where it was just a series of, one could say, very, very bad decisions. Several up with people examples as well. The George Burns, Mickey Rooney year, which I still cracks me up. Elvis Presto was January 22, 1989. A very good game, by the way. And that was Super Bowl number 23. Super Bowl number 23. All right, let's make this the bottom of the hour break. We'll come back and we will chat with Lavelle. Questions for him. Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line is wide open. 64686. Back in a minute.
Yeah.
The Fan welcomes some great shows to Mystic Lake Amphitheater. Leonard Skinner and Foreigner will be there August 16th. Motley Crue, August 21st. Get complete details of all of our upcoming shows on the concert page, KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
We are back, calling a little bit of an audible. We're going to go a little shorter with Lavelle than usual. He's on hold, raring to go, but we've got a nice little bonus added to us. We expect a phone call into the KFAN hotline at about 5:45, so in about 10 minutes from Dosunmu. So we're looking forward to chatting. First time we'll have an opportunity to chat with the Wolves' newest acquisition, who I'm told is not available yet tonight. But we'll at least introduce ourselves and, get a sense of where his head is at. The assumption that he's got to be pretty excited, given where, he comes from a team that's kind of been irrelevant for a while. In fact, Lavelle, you're a big Fighting Illini guy. You're a big IO guy as well. Give me some good background that we can use if he indeed joins or calls the hotline at 5:45.
Yeah, one great Illini to another. If I'm going to get my time cut in half, I might as well have it cut by another Illinois product. Can't complain about that.
Yep, for sure.
So,
tell me.
You gotta ask him about playing with Terrence Shannon and reuniting with him. I think they overlapped a year.
That's right. Sure I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're correct on that. Well, maybe he can get him. Maybe he can get him going. Although injury's been part of Shannon's problem too.
Yeah, it has. It's too bad because they really could use some bench scoring, and he could have supplied a little bit, man. Because TJ can finish, and Io's a downhill player too, but he's got a pull up jumper,
yeah,
and he's got a fadeaway, and he's got mid range ability, which is going to help. You can't ever turn down a guy who can shoot a little bit. And I think that's really going to help the Wolves from that standpoint. And he's 6'4/6'5" and likes to play defense. You can't have enough of those guys on a roster,
There's no question.
He's definitely going to help. He's not going to come in and become, the third, the third person in a three-headed monster.
No.
But he's going to definitely, it won't be that big of a drop-off now when Fitchy has to go to his bench.
Well, here's the way I put it yesterday, and I think you can relate to this. He's the kind of player who, if he's playing on a fairly mediocre team, you might not notice that much because there's nothing at stake, right? You feel like, well, okay, I hit a couple shots, but where's the team? But when a player like that goes to a better team, I think he ends up being appreciated more because there's something vital going on, right? There's something at stake. And so it's going to, whatever he does do well, which is, as you say, is guard, hit some shots, play with a terrific edge all the time. He's basically a one-speed player. All of that, I think, people are going to notice more because it's a team that people pay more attention to, and they're playing for something. The Bulls, let's face it, we're really not playing for anything.
Right. Yeah, he's gonna be tenacious on defense. He's gonna be tough. He'll take a hit and get back up. He had his nose broken in Illinois, and I think he played the next game with a fitted mask. And he chose black instead of a clear one. And then all of a sudden, after one game of that mask, little kids showed up at the Assembly Hall. I'm not Assembly Hall. It's Assembly Hall.
Right.
State Farm Center. That's what it is. Showed up with a little black mask on it. It's pretty funny. He kind of started like a fashion statement with the mask. But he's got first step quickness. He's, like I said, he's more than a willing defender.
Yeah.
Based on everything I've heard and read about him, he's a good kid from a good family.
We call that he's low maintenance is what he is. That's if you're a coach, you're going, my God, just a guy who wants to go out and play. And as Gargi and I were talking about this, that the Wolves, we see again when they're all into playing defense, they can play with anybody. But then they still have these stretches where they forget that or they get bored or whatever. Maybe he helps in that regard too, because he's not a guy who changes game to game in terms of speed or effort with which he plays. He's very much no nonsense. I saw a quote from somebody, one of the Chicago writers. It wasn't Colley, one of the other ones, basically saying this is a Chicago kid, man. This is a street tough Chicago kid in the sports sense of the term, right? Where all the things we associate with, Chicago, the blue collar toughness, no nonsense, all those sorts of things. I think it's kind of what his reputation has been. Just a very mature player.
That was Casey Johnson who
That's who it was.
That on
Yes,
Twitter.
You're right.
Who's been there forever.
Yeah.
I didn't even know Casey was still covering the Bulls. God, he's got to be going on 35 years now for him covering ball. The basketball guys in Chicago just like work forever. Sam Smith was like there, it seemed like 65 years.
That's true. Joe Colley's still covering too. Joe's been there forever.
Yeah, well, I remember when Colley was covering some ball. I remember he was covering when he was a columnist.
Yeah,
so he's
right.
done it all there for the Sun Times. So those guys kind of stick around. So, but the other thing too about Io that will help, because sometimes the Wolves getting these maddening stretches of turning the ball over, and he will help protect the ball a little bit more, that's like one of the bigger head scratchers for me this year with watching this team. Is that they get in these stretches where all of a sudden they there's a pass going haywire, they're dribbling off a knee. I'm like, what's going on with this team? Are they emotionally locked in here or what? He'll be able to help that aspect too. He's not a big turnover guy.
There are a couple of people begging me not to put him on because they believe in the bumper-to-bumper curse, that if we put him on, that means there's no chance they'll sign him beyond this year. So I hope we're not that the bumper-to-bumper curse doesn't get in the way. I think he's safe because I do believe, look, this is, you could say, an opportunity to evaluate him, obviously. But by all accounts, their intention is to re-sign him. He won't be as expensive as Kobe White, definitely would have been. And they have his bird rights, which means they can, because of, again, when they made this deal and what else they did in their cap situation, they'll be able to pay him more money, too. So I think that's going to be part of it. In fact, the hotline's ringing now, it sounds like. It might be him. Let's see if Blakemore...
Yeah.
Oh, not yet?
And
Okay.
I don't think they gave up a lot for him either. I mean,
No.
Rob Dillingham's a reclamation project already. Leonard Miller, I'll tell you this. I've talked to the other beat writers about this. We show up at practice and watch Leonard Miller play, and the game, it looks like the game comes easy to him. He moves with such a fluidity.
Yeah.
But there's never any production out of that. It's baffling. Maybe those guys go to a place where they have no choice but to get on the court and see what they can do. I don't care about the 4 second-rounders he sent, second-round picks. So, I mean, you could hit on a pick for sure, but it doesn't have the impact as it used to have.
Well,
if you re-sign him,
yes, even better.
If you exercise bird rights and sign AO, then it's definitely worth the price.
You've made something out of it. It's a failed pick, and they moved up to get him. They gave up a 1 to get him, and there's no question that's a loss in that sense. But it was fairly clear Finchy wasn't going to play him, and it's the old deal of it's the curse that you kind of want to have. The Wolves are too good to let a player play through, his mistakes, and that's probably what he needs to do. I don't blame the Bulls for taking a look at him and see, okay, we got less to lose at this point. But so it does hurt because when you trade him, BMI I ever saw, that's for sure.
No kidding.
I mean, he's
a skinny little guy.
He was. I think he was in great shape. All right, we're going to wait for the hotline call. Give me a quick Super Bowl pick, and then actually the phone's ringing now. So I'm going to assume you're picking Seattle.
I haven't liked Drake May in the playoffs, and going up against the Seattle defense, we saw what it did to the Vikings and Brosmer in Seattle.
Perfect.
I take the Seattle Seahawks, take the points, and profit.
Thank you. We'll chat soon.
Have fun without you.
Lavelle E. Neal III, a little shorter than usual because right on time we received a phone call from the newest member of the Minnesota Timberwolves, Dosunmu, kind enough to join us. Welcome to town, sir. We appreciate on a game night you giving us a couple of minutes. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Tickets out, man. At the arena now. Just pretty much watching the guys do their pregame routine. Had some dinner, and
nice.
Just meeting everybody. Taking it in.
I'll tell you what. We were talking about this yesterday and today. This is going to be a great opportunity for you. I'm sure you're aware of the bench situation. I mentioned with our last guest, the team couldn't bring everybody back last year. So the odd man out was Nickeil Alexander-Walker off the bench. quite frankly, Iowa, they've not replaced him. And to me, that's what you represent, a guy who can come in and in many ways fulfill the same role that he does. What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely, try to take pride in being able to come in and impact the game in any way. One thing I can say is, I'm going to go out there and try to give my all each and every game, try to be the best version I can be. I can go out there and be IO each and every night and help whatever it takes to put my imprints on the game to help the team win, get some wins. But, I take pride on being efficient. I take pride on just going out there and just taking stress off of guys and just competing at a high level.
You've always been described as a serious player, not a lot of nonsense. Go out and do what you do. So why? Why are you wired that way? Is it friends? Is it other players that you knew growing up? Is it parents? What is it that has made that sort of your signature, your approach?
It's just the way I was brought up. I always found, my therapy on the basketball court is to go out there and handle my business. I show emotions sometimes, but for the most part, I'm out there trying to do whatever it takes to win, and I'm out there competing. I have an objective to do, and that's just how I was taught the game of basketball at a young age. So each and every time I step on the court, I'm focused, I'm ready to roll, and I just go out there, handle my business, then, go on to the next one.
How refreshing is this going to be for you? I mean, the Bulls had some moments, but they haven't really been in it the way the Wolves have, as you well know, conference finals each of the last 2 years. So to come to a place where every game really does matter, where there's something at stake, I would assume it's got to be a great, you have to feel like this is a terrific opportunity for you.
Definitely. I think that this is a great opportunity. I'm soaking it all in. I'm very blessed. I give all praise to the Lord. Without him, I would not have this opportunity. And like you stated, back-to-back Western Conference finals appearances. So that just shows that deep playoff runs is something that is on the table, and hopefully trying to get over that hump and get to the next step. And that's what you want to play for. You always want to play meaningful basketball. You always want to play basketball when it's at its highest. And I think I have a great opportunity here. So I'm not taking it for granted. I'm blessed, and I'm excited to get the ball rolling and just go out there and help contribute.
Anthony Edwards, you've played against him. Now you get to play with him. Give me your impressions and your excitement playing alongside him now.
Yeah, I mean, he's wired, a fierce competitor. Of course, with his shooting ability, his much improved shooting ability, like one of the best shooters in the association to go along with his athleticism. I think that's what makes it special. I always, me being a basketball survivor of the game, I always take pride in, learning. I always love seeing other players get better, and I think he really took the step each and of these last seasons on taking a step of becoming a better player. And so, had that team, that's exciting. And, I'm excited to, work.
As a guy, Ayu, who prides himself on defense, what's it like guarding him? What are your own experiences, guarding him? What makes him so difficult to guard?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he's very explosive. So his explosiveness, his first step, is very top notch. And then with his improved shooting, becoming one of the best shooters, and then his mindset also, you mix those together and makes him a tough cover.
Did you think? I mean, there were a lot of rumors for several weeks that you might fit the bill for a number of teams, but certainly the Wolves included. So. Did you kind of anticipate this? Did you have a feeling it might happen? And is it distracting to be in that position where your name's being speculated on? It's a compliment in a way because it's saying other teams feel like you can help them. But what's this whole last few weeks been like for you?
Definitely. I would think as it got closer and closer to the deadline, the possibility, of course, ramped up. But like you stated, of course, me being drafted by Chicago, that's, the first trade I heard is always the toughest one, but it's also a compliment, like you stated. Yep. That just shows that other teams want you, and I think how I've been playing throughout the year off, and to have another team wants me and wants me to help contribute and do whatever I can to help the team win, especially a team like this. Like, this is not like a team, the bottom of the standings. This is like one of the best teams in the Western Conference, and if not the NBA. And the last 2 seasons were one of the 4 final teams in the whole association. So the aspirations here are different. So to be at the deadline to say that, they want to acquire me to help the team win, that just is a compliment itself. But of course, the last couple of weeks, is definitely a relief that it's all over with, because, me being a competitor, me wanting to win, and, the trade deadline, not just for myself, but for a lot of NBA players, it can get stressful because, you understand the business side of it, but at the same time, you still have to go out there and give it all for the team that you're on. So now it's over with. I'm excited. I'm excited for a new chapter. Yeah.
TJ, you played you overlapped with Terrence, did you not, at Illinois?
No, I didn't.
You did not? Okay.
I left. When I left, he came.
I see. Okay, gotcha. Okay, it was just like that. But at least another Illini guy you can get reacquainted with, correct?
Sure, Chicago guy, Illini guy. So that would be great.
That ain't bad at all.
We have a relationship. So, him being here, that's great also. Last
item for you. So I don't know how much conversation goes on when these things happen. Like, does the coach sit you down? Do you get a sense of they're direct about, okay, here's what we're looking for from you? Have you had those kinds of conversations yet?
No, I was not able to have that specific conversation because we just got in today, but I'm pretty sure that would be the conversation that will be had. I talked to Tim when I first got here, and he told me to play my game.
Yep.
Don't try to fit in. They got me to be who I am. So that was the main message. But Coach, I have not had a chance to sit down with him one-on-one.
Well, I will tell you this. I know this for a fact. This was going back before this deal was done. Tim Conley likes you a lot. He has for a while. So I think you're going to get, like I said, every opportunity here to get something done. And I fully expect these fans tend to like in this town, and I guess it's maybe true in Chicago too, hardworking players, no nonsense. So I have a hunch you're going to become one of the crowd favorites very, very quickly here in Minnesota.
Appreciate you. I'm excited. Nice to meet you. This was great.
Thank you very much for the time, and good luck.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. That is Dosunmu, newest member of your Minnesota Timberwolves on game night. Now, he's not going to be able to play tonight because of, I don't know if it's procedural issues and physicals and all that kind of good stuff, but that's probably the only disappointing thing for Wolves fans tonight because the Wolves are back in action. Is that a game, by the way, that I'm assuming that's on KFAN tonight, right?
It is.
Yeah, because we don't have Wild tonight because now they're on hiatus. We don't have Gophers, so it's not just Timberwolves channel, it's on the Juggernaut, 100.3.
Yeah, after we're done, 15 minutes fan on demand, right into Wolves pregame, Wolves Pelicans.
And you've already done fan on demand?
I have.
Is it juicy? Is it controversial? You got a lot of good stuff?
It's a Friday, so you just copy paste initials.
What's that supposed to mean?
That's the easiest.
That's not very nice. That's unfortunate is what it is.
Yeah, so we'll have a little initials game replay.
Here's the thing, and somebody pointed this out, and this is a really good point regarding the bumper-to-bumper curse. If indeed Mike Conley is re-signed as expected, it's a fait accompli, it's just the timing is the only question, then doesn't that break the show curse? Right? If we were being held responsible for Conley being traded, if he's back, then the curse should be broken. So I think Flim Flam brings that up, and I think that's a pretty good point. I think we're okay.
I think you have to bring him back on just to thumb your nose at the curse itself and just say, we're over you. It's done.
You talking about Conley?
Yeah.
Yeah, we will. My assumption is we'll get Conley back next week or whenever, as I said, he can't, I don't think he really talked that much now because nothing's official yet, but it invariably, I think it's definitely going to happen. As I mentioned, a lot of this is so inside baseball, but it's important, the timing, because of the contract flexibility and adding another part. And maybe even a veteran player with a name we could recognize who could add to the depth of this team as well. So it's inevitable that Mike will be back, and I fully expect when he is back, we'll have several more opportunities to get him back in the fold with the bumper-to-bumper program, thereby shattering whatever concept of a bumper-to-bumper curse there might be. Let's do this. Let's pause for the top of the hour, and we'll get into a lot of other things between 6 and 6:30 before the award-winning Fan and the Man in the Air put together by the aforementioned Mr. Blake.
We all had a teacher who believed in us. Well, you can show your gratitude with Thank a Teacher. It's powered by Donors Choose. Nominate a post-school teacher to win $5,000 for their classroom. This week, we want to shout out Elizabeth Schultz, special ed teacher at Valley View Elementary School. Nominate a teacher today, iHeartRadio.com/teachers, iHeartRadio.com/teachers.
Super Bowl number 60, the Fan has learned, is scheduled for Sunday. I'm assuming the game can be heard or will be heard if you need to on the Juggernaut. I don't even know the game time anymore.
That's my understanding.
Is it like 5:30-ish? I don't even double check game time for the Super Bowl these days. Is it later than that now? Whenever it is, I think we'll have it, and I'm assuming we'll have all kinds of pregame festivities as well. A 2-hour edition of Sunday sermons between 9 and 11 o'clock. And it is, I guess, a bit contradictory to wallow in misery when we see the same teams over and over again and say, I'm tired of seeing New England. I'm tired of seeing a Kansas City. I mean, New England, not so much lately, obviously, once Brady left, but, you know, the Eagles, it's the same over and over. And then we get something different, and I'm complaining about it. I tried, you know me, I hate to complain, first of all. But secondly, I try to not go down that road, and I've tried to resist it, but I have to admit that I'm not captivated by the matchup. I think, you know what I think part of it is? It's a feeling that, I mean, the New England story is a great story because they came out of nowhere, obviously, make the coaching change, have this reversal of a season. Kid quarterback looks really good. But I still feel like they haven't really been, they've gotten here without really even being challenged to a certain extent. Because I look at the AFC and I go, Denver's cute. Denver's a cute club. But, and they had the unlucky, the bad bounce to lose their quarterback. But I don't think anybody came away blown away by that club. And I still liked Buffalo, but then they didn't get there, the whole bit. And I watch, frankly, the way May has played in the postseason, I go, it doesn't look as good as he did in the regular season. And everybody talked during the season, they played allegedly like the easiest schedule in the last 50 years or something. Again, not their fault. But I just don't think of them as, well, that's a tested team that could end up with the bowl, winning it, history. And then Seattle, I like them more, but I still don't look at them either as a heavyweight. Now, none of that means it can't be a hell of a game. I mean, you could end up having a very exciting game, a very close game, whatever the case may be. But I'm curious to hear in the final minutes what some of the texters think about this game. I'll watch it out of habit. I might love it because it might end up being a really close game, or although I think Seattle's going to dominate, or a game that goes down to the wire. And those games, especially in the Super Bowl, are always fun, and people definitely pay attention to them. But I'm not sitting here going, I can't wait for that Super Bowl number 60.
I tend to agree. Like, you do hope for new teams, but you hope that those teams there's a feeling like, well, they're not really the best teams. You know, like they're good teams, but are they these like Super Bowl, the unstoppable force and the immovable object meeting? No. It's like, no, they're good teams, and I think it'll be a fine game. Let's be honest, we'll watch it regardless.
Yeah,
of
course.
We'll watch the Hall of Fame game in a handful of months, and that'll be a bunch of third stringers.
That's also true.
We'll watch it no matter what. But yeah, I tend to agree with you. I think it's still Seattle, but it's still the Super Bowl, still the big game.
Larry Mondello guy, regarding the bumper-to-bumper curse, I think the only sure way that the curse is broken is if the Vikings bring back Mike Zimmer as spread game analyst, and he once again becomes a weekly bumper-to-bumper guest. I will have the teeth in the glass by halftime, writes 218 guy. Super Bowl lacks star power. That is from 701 guy. Dan, I hope that Conley will be back on the show when available, but I consider the bumper-to-bumper curse more closely associated with the Vikings than the Wolves. If either JJ is offered up to the show next year for weekly guest, please don't accept. That's Adam and White Bear. And what's ironic about that is there's some anti-JJ McCarthy fans who are begging us to put JJ McCarthy on because they apparently do believe in the curse and they're done with JJ. It is an interesting transition over the course of his 2 years here from a guy that everybody was excited about to a guy that a lot of people are ready to move on from. And those are the extremes. You know, reality should be somewhere in between there. But it is interesting to quote a guy who covers this team every day, Kevin Seifert, in a piece that he dropped, I think, yesterday, saying regarding McCarthy's future here, or his, I guess, his position of if he's coming from a position of strength here, his viability here. The comment he made or wrote was, all bets are off. And that would seem to indicate, if that's true, that anything's possible for this upcoming season. The message might be, we're no longer worried about hurting feelings. We're no longer worried about creating a quarterback circus by bringing somebody else in. We're going to do it. We're going to do whatever we think we have to do. Now, that sounds bold, and it sounds necessary. But then you're back to the who. Who's the player? Who's the quarterback you're going to find that fulfills that desire? That's not going to be, I think, particularly easy. And in the end, they may end up having to settle for somebody that they really didn't want to. We've heard all the names. We've gone through the names. I'm sure we'll do a lot more of that as we get closer into the next season, the off season. But it sounds good to say all bets are off, and baby, we'll do whatever we have to do. But you still got to have somebody. You know, you have to have somebody that you're going to bring in. So we'll see. Dan, have you covered the fact that the Pastronaut is New England's backup? If May goes down, Dobbs could be the MVP. How would that go over in Vikings country? Marty in Richfield writes that. I don't think that would be as offensive to a lot of Vikings fans as Darnold starring. Because, I mean, there isn't anybody saying we should have kept Pastronaut and made him the starter. I shouldn't say anybody. There's very few. But in Darnold's case, it's more arguable, and he was in a different position. So it'd be a hell of a story if it ends up being Pastronaut. Will you double check that? Is he? He is a backup, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, just imagine this: in the Super Bowl, you could have just the names: Garrett Bradbury snapping it to Josh Dobbs, who throws it to Stephon Diggs in the Super Bowl.
That's it
for the Patriots.
I think that would be painful, and maybe that's worse than Darnold starring and winning it. I don't remember. I don't remember how many other angles that we have. Denver's cute. Quasi is moot. Band doesn't give a hoot. Wolves in 5. People are working it very, very hard. Wolves Clippers 2:00 on Sunday. Is that true? Wolves Clippers. Double check the schedule on. This is my statement to fallness. I don't pay attention to the Wolves schedule any more closely than I do the Wild. That's not a basketball versus hockey thing. That's just me being bored by schedule watching.
Clippers at Target Center Sunday 2:00.
The James Harden-less Clippers, right? They got Garland now. They decided to get younger. I'm going to tell you, I know it's not a popular opinion. I understand why the Cavaliers did what they did, even though there's a gamble to it, and you lose about 10 years in age. Here's the goofy thing. James Harden plays. Garland never plays. I'm in this league. I just have a hard time having much patience for guys for whatever reasons they don't play. If that cliche about availability is overdone, but there's some truth to it. And so I kind of understand why they're rolling the dice, and they're obviously, it's a short-term fix in the case of James Harden, but I don't think, frankly, it is all that crazy. I also feel the Super Bowl malaise, do you think location has anything to do with it? Opposite coasts make them as far away from us as possible. I don't know if it's that. They're not. Well, New England obviously was a super team or a big-time franchise, but I don't know that we've thought of them that way in a while. Seattle certainly had some success. So I don't know if it's location so much as star power a little bit. Darnold's had a good season, there's no question, but he still, I don't think, is viewed as a guy. Well, there's one of the top 5 quarterbacks. But we tend, as much as we complain about seeing those same faces, we tend to like. I think we end up missing those guys if there's a feeling that the game lacks a little of the extra pizzazz because of who is in it. We'll make this our final break and give you a couple final thoughts as we prepare you for the rest of the weekend. Sunday sermons, of course, at 9 a.m. on Sunday.
It's the Bumper to Bumper Show Wrap.
It's brought to you by American Pressure.
Bricklayer guy, Bemidji Bricklayer guy says, I'd love to see Darnold shine. Guardsy's pretty much said the same thing. So maybe there are a lot of Vikings fans willing to take the high road and absorb whatever, disappointment there might be in their bones that he goes someplace else and wins the bowl. So please teach Lavelle that you don't take the points when betting the favorite. It's the opposite. Wow.
I think it's easy to say the Darnold bit before he lifts the trophy.
I think you're right. I think some people are lying to themselves on it. And they're acting like, well, I'm above all that. I'm taking the high road. But if he has as good a game as he did in the last round, I think it's just going to be, are you kidding me?
You see the confetti, you see him lift the trophy on the platform, you're going to be upset.
There's not any question about that. What else we have here? Star play. I thought I had another good rhyme, but I'll leave it at that for now. I want to thank our outstanding array of guests today, and that includes Sean Salisbury, who joined about 3:30ish, and prediction segment was moved to 4:02 today, right around then. In addition, we were joined by Ben Gessling at his usual time, his customary 4:30 spot. We had Lavelle. We went shorter with Lavelle because we had a little bonus time with the newest Minnesota Timberwolf, Dosunmu, kind enough to join us from the belly of the Target Center Beast at 5:45. So all of that will be podcastable, downloadable if you missed it. In addition, as I said, I don't believe he's playing tonight because I think there's still some paperwork, all these things. It's really too bad because it's a great opportunity. You got a home game, which you can hear right here on the Fan after Fan and a Man on the Air. But I don't think tonight is going to be his debut, unfortunately. One A-section item that's getting a lot of attention today. The president, or on his social, Truth Social site, had retweeted or linked to an utterly and completely racist meme or video, whatever the case may be. When the first pushback started, by the way, from many Republicans as well as Democrats, it was get over it. It's a meme. Just calm down. And then eventually somebody must have said, well, nobody is getting over it, so we better withdraw it, which ultimately was indeed done. And then the battle is, well, he didn't really know. Somebody else did it for him. Let's make this as clear as I can be on this subject. The people who do the president's bidding, to the degree that they have the fact that there is no standard in place about what's in play and what isn't, whether he ended up physically doing it or not, or knowing 100% about it, is moot to me. The people around him feel emboldened to do exactly that on his behalf because he has given them every reason to believe they should and can at all occasions. Because what's it about? It's about owning the libs and getting the libs going. I don't know who this Gandalf guy is via X. I couldn't agree more with what he says. This video should unsettle anyone who takes the United States seriously as a nation because it exposes something dangerous. If the trivialization of the world's most consequential office shows how carelessly the power, credibility, and accumulated moral authority of a superpower can be squandered for a few seconds of viral attention. In any other major democracy, this behavior from a head of state would trigger a constitutional crisis. In the Nordic countries, for example, resignation would follow within hours. Across functioning democracies, the public, institutions, and political class would recognize this for what it is, an assault on the dignity of the state itself. We're so far past this that a lot of people will not even relate to or understand what he's saying because he's 100% right. But it's almost like, well, we crossed that bridge a long time ago, so what's the distinction? The distinction is every once in a while you go back to this reality. I'm not surprised, but I think it further confirms to me that we aren't serious. And The Office cannot any longer be taken seriously because we have become, sadly, a TV show. This plays out like it's all happening on TV. And on TV, guess what? Anything goes. Anything goes for a rating. Anything goes for a retweet. Anything goes for, hey, did you see what so-and-so said and did? It was awful, wasn't it? But God, it was really entertaining. And that's, frankly, where we're at. Not going to change. Not going to matter. No reason it's going to alter in any significant way. And you can say, well, why this? Why is this the one? There is no one. But each of them individually speak to a lack of seriousness. I'm in this for the clicks. I am in this for the highest TV rating that I can get. I am in this for reaction. And at some point, you'd think even the folks who believe in this president would say, what are we doing? What are we becoming through all this? And if it doesn't get more attention, that doesn't mean it isn't worthy. It means we're so worn down by almost every day another one of these occasions for whatever it might be related to that we've lost the ability to distinguish. We've lost the ability to even think that it's going to have any real impact on the person orchestrating. Trust me. You know it. I know it. Every bit of it. If he didn't know it at the start, he loved it. There's not any question in my mind. He was happy to double down on it. And the more he knew that people were bitter, he probably tripled down on it. Now, somebody eventually got to him, and maybe a couple of Republicans calling, because a bunch of them did, said, what are we doing? But it's further proof that it's very hard, I think, to take us seriously as participating in what we think of when we talk about the White House. What it allegedly, whether it's a righty in there, a shark in there, or a jet in there, how you take any of it seriously, how the rest of the world takes it seriously. Yeah, I guess you could say might. Yeah, we got the might still, so we have to be taken seriously that way. The rest of it is just utter absurdity. That's the world in which we live. Sunday sermons will get us back to the toy department, I think, although that could change. Very difficult to say because you never know what's happening from day to day to day. But again, thanks to an outstanding guest lineup today. Fan on Demand in the Air will be followed almost immediately by Minnesota Timberwolves pregame show, and then the Wolves hosting the Pelicans, who, according to Brett Blakemore, in today for Guardsy, one of the worst nicknames in all of professional
Without
sports.
a doubt.
Yeah, it's
no one's scared of a Pelican.
It may not be my favorite either. Have a wonderful weekend. We will talk to you Sunday at 9.
That's not funny. Why don't you put your pants back on, Slappy? Fall down, Chicago Bears. Ha ha ha! You're not in face.